All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Welcome, greetings, salutations. What's going on, guys? uh, yeah, had something going on yesterday, so sorry for my absence. But I do shows mostly every single day of the week. Once in a while, I have to. Once in a while, I have to bow out. Cold, yeah. I hear that it's very cold. Andres has been in a deep freeze for 2 weeks. Um, yeah, I'm seeing that it is quite cold in many places. What's up, Rockfin people? How are you doing? How you doing? And we're live on Callin. So if you want to listen to the show on Callin, you can, and you can also call in. Um, so yeah, the title of the show, Unbanned. If you all heard, Donald Trump is coming back to Twitter, and a few other people were unbanned from Twitter. We'll talk about that later. Probably won't go into too much depth right now, but maybe later in the show. And so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Oh, by the way, I got some after hours tips from the other day. Osama bought me a coffee, and John House tipped me on Rockfin. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Yeah, it was super cold. There's historic levels of snow in Buffalo, which is historically snowy. So there's that. We'll look at that for a second. It's Buffalo Bills Stadium. Piles of snow. 66 inches of snow at Buffalo Bills Stadium. So we're getting slapped. After being extremely warm, having an extremely warm fall, all of a sudden in some places in the U.S., slapped with cold. It's actually rather balmy here in Los Angeles. It's quite nice. I don't know. It's like 68, 70 degrees, sun shining. But that is traditionally LA. That's why people move here because it's beautiful all year round, and that's kind of how it goes. We don't really have a winter. Our winter is like a couple of weeks in either December or January. Once in a while, we'll get a freak snap here and there, but like basically, our winter is not even a month long. It gets kind of cold, but the rest of the year it's like 70 degrees, sunny. So there are upsides to Los Angeles. Los Angeles, if I can pronounce Los Angeles, that'd be great. But yeah, the jet stream is super wavy and whacked out. We're gonna look at that. This is pretty harrowing footage here from Oswego, New York, Lake Ontario this morning. I don't think there's sound to this, but this is pretty. This is this a lighthouse or just a house on stilts? I don't want to be in this house. Whatever's going on, wherever this house is supposed to be on the shore. I guess it's right on the shore. It looks like, but looks like it might be a lighthouse. But that looks like a scary place to be. Kamashwari Kate says, when I lived in Palm Springs, we had winter from mid-December to mid-January. Yeah, that's about it. That's about what it is. Oswego. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. Oswego. But that is some wild footage. And we'll look at some temperature maps or a map. Extremely cold across broad areas of North America. Record-breaking snow around the Great Lakes. Also very anomalous warmth in the Arctic. Above freezing locally north of Yukon. Above freezing. That's not supposed to happen. And why is this happening? The jet stream is shredded. The jet stream is shredded. The cold air that's supposed to stay in the Arctic is not staying in the Arctic. It's warm in the Arctic. It's cold, in other places. Everything is, all out of whack. So there's just some very up to like 22, looks like minus 22 temperature anomaly in most of the U.S. and into Canada, maybe. But maybe that's, it looks like very cold anomalies up there. That's happening. That's why that's happening. Gonna look at this from Poppy for a second. We are so fracked. West Texas hit by its largest earthquake on record, 5.3. Rattling the Permian Basin, disposing contaminated salty water back underground is common in fracking, awakening dormant fault lines. This has been going on for years. They've been having a lot of seismic activity around, or due to an uptick in fracking. Third largest quake in Texas history. This is from November 18th. Increase in seismic activity in Texas has been linked to injecting fracking wastewater underground. Right? So when they say we're going to store these wastes underground, or we're going to store this carbon underground, we're going to store these things, inject it underground, and that'll save us. Are you sure you're not creating other problems with those ideas? Anyways, pretty big quake for Texas. In California, a five would be just a roller. In Los Angeles, a five earthquake would be like, oh, that was pretty good. That's a pretty good one. But probably way more surprising for Texas. You got to get in like the 6 and the 7s and the 8s in California to really like shake things up. Quake could be felt as far away as Carlsbad, New Mexico, and El Paso. That's far. The number of earthquakes recorded in Texas has spiked in recent years, particularly in West Texas's Permian Basin, the most productive oil and gas region in the state. Scientific studies have linked the seismic activity to the disposal of contaminated salty water deep underground, a common practice by oil companies at the end of the hydraulic fracturing process that can awaken dormant fault lines. So when you pollute the planet and you try new and improved ways of getting rid of the waste, you create some more problems. That's not, that's just part of our larger project of terraforming the planet. and has nothing to do with, and I'm not saying that other things aren't going on, but it has nothing to do with like secret geoengineering or anything. This is just what we're doing to the planet. We are terraforming the planet out in the open. It's not a secret. It's pretty obvious that that's what we're doing. Another one from Poppy. Our future is now. Hellish summers see the mercury top a blistering 50 degrees Celsius. It's like 122 Fahrenheit or something like that, near the limit of human endurance, with frequent power cuts shutting down air conditioning for millions. This is from Iraq. Iraq's mighty Tigris River is drying up. Drying riverbeds mean Iraqi authorities have had to sharply cut the area of cultivated land in the country. Again, this is happening all over the planet. Is it all the result of some kind of controlled ne'er-do-wells doing stuff to the planet, or is this just the result of 100 or 150 years of pollution? And pollution includes carbon. It's actually a big part of the pollution, carbon. Don't know how you can separate the two. Sure, we're polluting the planet, but no, that climate change, it's just ridiculous. Okay. Anyways, the Tigris is dying. Human activity and climate change have choked its once mighty flow through Iraq, where with its twin river, the Euphrates, it made Mesopotamia a cradle of civilization thousands of years ago. Iraq may be oil rich, but the country is plagued by poverty after decades of war, by droughts, and desertification. Battered by one natural disaster after another, it is one of the 5 countries most exposed to climate change, according to the United Nations. From April onwards, temperatures exceed 35 degrees Celsius, and intense sandstorms often turn the sky orange, covering the country in a film of dust. Hellish summers see the mercury top a blistering 50 degrees Celsius. The Tigris, the lifeline connecting the storied cities of Mosul, Baghdad, and Basra, has been choked by dams, most of them upstream in Turkey, and falling rainfall, as in less rainfall. The Tigris's course through Iraq begins in the mountains of northern Iraq and near the borders of Turkey and Syria, where local people raise sheep and grow potatoes. The levels of the Tigris, according to officials, has dropped to just 35% of its average over the past century. Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard that before? Oh, Mississippi, Yangtze, the Rhine, etc. Drought has dried up the watercourse that is crucial to the region's agriculture. This year, authorities have been forced to reduce Iraq's cultivated areas by half, meaning no crops will be grown in the badly hit Diyala governorate. Governorate. Okay, sorry. I'll stop saying that. Half of the area used to grow food is now not growing food. I wonder how that will affect access to food prices, hunger. Related, let's look at this from Peter Dines. This is about inflation at the supermarket. What's the report going to be like when the crops fail on the current trajectory? Fewer beeps at the checkout, maybe.
Let me show you some price comparisons here. A carton of eggs, this is supposed to be the cheap protein, right? Well, up 43% year over year. And milk, it's up 14% year over year. Maybe you thought you'd save some money with fruits and vegetables. Well, those are up 9% too. Coffee up 14%. And let me tell you, if you're a cook and you use butter, 33% year over year increase from October to October. Now, all of this means that Thanksgiving is going to be much more expensive. And you can't substitute anything for the turkey, right? Well, guess what? You're going to have sticker shock because the price is up 16% year over year. Even potatoes are up 15%. And people use potatoes to kind of stretch their meal if they can't afford a lot of protein. You want pumpkin pie? Well, guess what? You're going to be paying a lot more for that as well. Let me show you some price comparisons here. A carton of eggs. This is supposed to be the cheapest.
All right. Yeah, sorry, it took me a while to get the screen up, but yeah, well, you have many agricultural areas being hit by some kind of calamity or another, drought, floods, or whatnot. And that is going to affect the food supply. Couple more from Peter Dines. He says the biggest sense of the false sense of security I have witnessed is from those who think their wealth and air conditioning will somehow get them through the climate bottleneck civilization is throttling towards. How wrong they are. And he goes on to say nobody survives a world where crops fail. Right? Even if you have the money to pay for the air conditioning, even if you have money to pay for the food, we may see a day not far off in the future where the remaining supplies of food are being shipped around, guarded like gold bullion. And the people that can't afford to guard the food supplies like gold bullion will suffer. And one more from Peter Dines. According to the WWF, 35% of the Amazon rainforest is either totally lost or highly degraded. The very bad news to remember here is that the tipping point is 25%. So we've passed the tipping point. Industrial civilization is literally cutting out one of the planet's lungs. Monica Piccinini says mass deforestation caused by fires, illegal logging, invasion of indigenous lands, slave labor, all to make room for agriculture and livestock. This practice is mainly driven by meat giants. There's an urgent need for a transparent and effective plan. That's not good. That was my very educated take on that. Um, just reading this comment from Denver. Is this the result of 150 years of intense pollution and we are so far past the norm? The powers judge that chemtrails are the only hope to buy more time, even though the chemtrails possibly cause more heating in the long run. That would be effed. Well, yeah. Once you go down that road, it's hard to go back. All right, we'll take this call from Fantomas. How's it going, Fantomas?
Good afternoon.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, I do have to say I find it very interesting when politicians respond to where things that need to change, and you start to see what people's motives are.
Right.
Ro Khanna recently on Katie Halper's show, and he said the following. He said, "What should we do about inflation?" And then his first priority was, and I think you'll find this to resonate with you. He said, "We need to build more." I mean, this is the problem when people don't realize. It's like, yeah, you're going to help the inflation. You're going to help that inflation issue, and you're going to build more factories, but then you're going to cause more and more problems, and you can't possibly control or manage for the whole, not just for the whole country, the whole world, because it creates a culture of multiplicity, of just more factories everywhere else, not just the United States, because people will see some factories sprouting out and be like, oh yeah, we should definitely start working on more factories. And it's just like it's a common theme over and over again of everyone that wants to copycat us ends up doing our bad habit.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird that people cannot put the thing together in their minds that it's the growth in the building itself that's the problem, right? And so has got us to this position on some levels, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that just seems to be the stock answer for everything. It's a very politician type answer, right? It's like if you can just, it's like this knee jerk kind of mindless repetition that well, if we just grow the economy, if we have the good growth or the green growth or the whatever it might be, whatever label you want to slap on the growth, but it all comes down to growth.
I guess the
Well,
theme
if we
would
just
be
grow the economy, we can solve inflation, climate change, whatever it is.
I guess the theme is common sense out the window. Like when that woman was talking about, well, you can't have Thanksgiving without a turkey. Well, wait a minute. Why can't you have Thanksgiving without a turkey?
I don't eat meat, so I often have Thanksgiving without a turkey. In fact,
I know.
I don't remember the last time I've had turkey at a Thanksgiving because it's been like years for me.
Wow. And I mean, the other thing is like, what do you do about starving families? I don't know. Schedule more community dinners. This is not that hard to figure out.
Right.
If you want less people to starve, we'll find a way to do it as a country,
right.
as a world. I mean, it's not that okay. Maybe some of the coordination and the scheduling and all of that is the logistics is a little bit harder to do, but you have to start somewhere and to just say, oh my God, what are these people going to do? It's such trauma porn in a way.
Right.
What
sure.
are we going to do?
Sure. And there's it's presenting it too in the wrong, we're not even asking the right kind of questions. Like, sure, Thanksgiving is cool and it's nice and it's fun to hang out with people, but it's, we're just, do we need to have Thanksgiving? Do we need to have Christmas? Do we need to, like you can celebrate those things without having all the stuff, or whatever.
We're more concerned with Trump being on Twitter and
yes, exactly.
And the humor about that, though, Kevin, is if these liberals and these Democrats really cared, which they don't. Let's get this straight, which they don't. If they really cared, Elon Musk gave you a way to do it. You vote. So what you should have done was, how liberals are always talking about the left,
right.
Empowering, getting behind and voting more. You should have voted more in the poll. You should have had more emails sent out. We need to get Trump banned. We need to get Trump off Twitter. Vote no, but they didn't do it. They just
I was actually surprised that it was so close. I honestly was. Because remember I was talking about the poll the other day. It was like Trump and Biden.
Yeah.
And it might have been that I really, do think that some of that vote was due to the audience of that account, right? Because that account has more of a libertarian audience. But and Elon actually said that there were probably bots involved in that vote, right? Swaying, pushing the vote one way or another. He even admitted that. He said, there's probably a lot of fake accounts that are trying to, and we don't know which way. If there's fake accounts affecting the vote, what was the real vote is what I'm trying to say. But
These hot take people are really looking like fools. Remember they said how Twitter was going to crash? It's
oh
now
yeah,
soccer season. It's now soccer season. It's now Trump season, and Twitter hasn't crashed.
no,
I mean,
it hasn't.
seriously, how many people does it take to run Twitter? That's what people are afraid of.
That's that. It doesn't. That's what's funny is that he fired all the people, and we're like, oh, it's going to be over. And it's like, does it really take that many people to run our website? No, it doesn't. It's just it's a website.
All right, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right, later.
Yeah, and if you're really afraid of free speech or something that's a little closer to free, there's not going to be ultimate, absolute anarchic free speech on Twitter. That's just not going to. That's not the reality. But if you're afraid of something closer to free speech, then don't go on Twitter. I don't know. Just not everything is about your safety or safety or harm. Safety is good to a degree, but at a certain point, safety tilts over into smothering mother who won't let you do anything. Jimmy can't go outside and play because she's afraid he might scrape his knee. Well, then that's ridiculous, isn't it? Right? If your mother is protecting you from scraping your knee or going out and getting dirty, well, then you're not living. That's not living. That's not life. And you're, that's not the way that a lot of people will live. So you actually, life entails some danger. Life entails some cuts and some scrapes. So if you're so worried about getting a little bruised and a little scraped up by the free speech, I don't know what's wrong with you. Maybe you should figure that out or stay away from Twitter until you do. But it's really, nothing has really changed, actually. Nothing has really changed. Okay, I'm going to leave YouTube. Sorry, YouTubers, but you can hang out with me on Callin and on Rockfin for the rest of the show. But before I do that, I got to remember, you can follow me here on Twitter at Black Bear News 1. Boiled Rope says, more speech, please. Yeah. More speech. If you see something you don't agree with, is it really that big of a problem? Just move on. Just, do not follow. Unfollow, move on, don't pay attention, Same like with somebody's doing a video that you disagree with. Why spend your time, if you really disagree with it, why spend your time hate watching it, don't you have better things to do with your life? Just go find a place that you like to be. It's okay. It's really not that big of a deal. Drag Guy says life on Earth is never safe. We moderate risk. That is living. Yeah, Anyways. So we're going to be on Rockfin. YouTubers, good day to you, and I will see you tomorrow.